Hi, my name is Rain. I'm 20. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I graduated in 2011 from a class of about 200. I'm from Arkansas. When I was in the public education system, I wasn't out for a lot of reasons, mostly because I didn't feel safe. The environment at my school wasn't very friendly. It was pretty constant hearing anti-LGBTQ slurs, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer and questioning, if you're wondering. Things like no homo, that's so gay, etc. Far more offensive things as well, but I won't repeat those. All of these things, hearing these things on the bus, at pep rallies, football games, band practice sometimes, I definitely got the idea that it wasn't appropriate or okay or safe to be who I was. So I ignored it until college, which is not actually a thing to smile about, but that's what I do when I'm uncomfortable. I don't think most of these things were intentional. I think that because of our culture and the way we often say things that we don't know are hurtful until it's called to our attention, it was allowed to be that way for a while. I think some has changed since I've been in high school. It's been 3 years, but I think for a lot of people this is still the truth. When people start throwing slurs around, it hurts people, so a lot of times they'll get into altercations. Someone could be bullying someone and they have to retaliate to protect themselves. And that becomes an issue when your school has a no tolerance policy, which means that there is no real way to mediate the situation. Everyone involved just kind of gets suspended in school or out of school. I'm not particularly sure what the rules are on that anymore. But I remember, if you were in a fight in high school, it doesn't matter if you're protecting yourself, you get suspended for being in a fight. And if you get suspended out of school, you don't get to make up any of the work that you miss while you're gone. If you're suspended in school, you stay in school until you've finished all the work that you've been assigned. And sometimes teachers will assign you a really heavy load for whatever reason, I guess to encourage you not to go back. But, it could perpetuate this cycle where you're stuck in school for 6 days, 6 class days. And then you get back and you have a test and you don't know what it's about. Or it's about the stuff you learned in school, but either way, you're losing class time and you're not receiving an equitable education because you were suspended for protecting yourself because someone was harassing you for something you can't control. And I've seen that happen before. It's not a pleasant experience. There are also other policies in place at my school that kind of reinforce the unsafe environment. There were the no tolerance policies, but there are also the truancy policies where if you miss too many days of school without a doctor's note, you can get taken to court and fined up to $500. But also you could lose credit for some of your classes, or all of your classes depending, which means that you can get set back and fail a grade, or sometimes if you get far enough behind you just end up dropping out because you feel like there's no way to get out of that little loop. And why would you want to go to school if someone's harassing you and you're just getting sent to ISS or D-Hall or being harassed, or you're just scared for your life? It's a real issue. People feel uncomfortable at school enough to miss. So there was that. For kids that still go to school and are trans-identified, I don't remember any unisex bathrooms, gender-neutral bathrooms. I remember there was, the teacher's bathroom, and I don't remember if those were gendered or not, but I know we weren't allowed to use them because they were the teacher's bathroom. That's not ours. But all of the other ones, and the dressing areas as well, none of them didn't have a gender assignment. So for students that were trans, I don't know if there was any specific policy saying that you couldn't use the one that you identified with, but I'm pretty sure that, if you were a transgender individual and you tried to use a restroom or dressing room that other people didn't think you were, belonged in, you would get in trouble. The general idea is go to the right bathroom. So it just wasn't a comfortable place to be. And all of this just kind of culminates into like what we call the school to prison pipeline. It pushes kids out of school. You know, if you're being pushed into ISS or OSS, or you're being arrested because you're fighting, you know, there are cops on our campus to protect us, but sometimes that leads to like kids getting arrested rather than actually having someone mediate a situation and like talk to the kids and explain to them why fighting isn't appropriate and why there's an easier and better way to go about communicating. But instead of that, there isn't an alternative to the violence policies. They don't have time to like sit down and talk with each other. They usually just get assigned to suspension or taken to the police station. But yeah, sometimes kids are transferred to a different school because it's just not safe for them there, which isn't fair because it kind of creates, you know, this idea that like you're not worth helping, you just kind of get moved around instead because that's easier. And then there are dropouts, like I said, you know, if you get too far behind or you're just done with the whole system, like, you know, pretty tired of going to school, pretty tired of getting harassed, so you just leave. It's easier for some people to just leave. And it's not fair because everyone deserves equitable access to education, and everyone's not getting it. This whole thing disproportionately targets youth of color, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer and or questioning youth, and also undocumented youth. So it really needs to stop. It needs to stop because it's not fair and it's not what we were promised. It's not okay in the slightest. There are ways to fix this. Restorative justice, you know, open door type policies, and I know that we can do it if we stand together, and instead of being scared into silence, if we speak out vocally, loudly, we can stand together against school pushout.